Hey guys, so I just got back from my graduation commencement speaker audition and I am feeling a little graduation inspired. So I decided to do a DIY today, and it is going to be how to decorate your graduation cap. This is something that I never thought I would do, but since I am graduating from college and I just have discovered a whole new me that is more feminine and girly, I decided that I would give it a shot. So I stopped at my local Michael's and picked up some things. I hope you guys get some really great ideas for my DIY project. If you have any of your own, feel free to tag them below or put in your video and I'll be sure to watch them and like them. So I'm just going to be showing you how to turn your graduation cap from looking like this to this. Now, I love how my graduation cap turned out. This actually took me a few days to film, so I am filming this on a separate day from my first half of this video. I hope that you guys will continue to watch and see my step-by-step process and how exactly I took on this amazing DIY project. I was very inspired by my newfound girliness, and you can see pictures of this at my blog. I will put the link below for that, and I'm just super excited to graduate and to finally be moving on and applying to my dream universities. So I hope that you guys like my video and continue to watch. So let's get into this. Okay, so first things first, I just find some inspiration on YouTube, whatever helps me to stay focused, especially when I have a long task ahead of me, and I decided to listen to Iggy Azalea. She is thebomb.com. What you're going to need for this project is some scrapbook paper, some random pieces of cardstock for your letters for on top of your graduation cap. I used various sizes of pearls as well, a little knife to cut out my letters, and some ribbon lace. You're also going to need a fabric pen if you want. I use this to write my quote on the back of my cap. So what you're going to do is just get the computer paper and flip over the cardstock so that the back of it is facing you where the barcode is. And you're just going to cut along the computer paper so that they both are the same size. And yes, of course, I am in my PJs. So what you're going to do is just flip through your cardstock book. I actually found inspiration from our wedding planning book, so I chose the same pattern that I used for that, which is the blush pink peony. So you're just going to take the cardstock out of the book, carefully ripping it out, and you're also going to want to grab your graduation cap. So you're going to turn the cardstock over so that you're seeing the back of the paper, and just place your graduation cap on top of it, and pressing firmly, you're going to trace the graduation cap all the way around. And I found that if you hold the edges down, it makes it a lot easier and you get a much cleaner line. So this is what your outline should look like, and what you're going to do is just cut out the outline that you made of your graduation cap so that you can place it on top of it. So you can go ahead and put your cap on the floor, whatever surface you're using, and make sure that the paper just fits on there perfectly, and mark a little dot also where the button is on the graduation cap like I did here. So then what you're going to want to do is use a pencil or some scissors or both and try to wiggle the button through the hole that you made. I used my fingers, and then I actually ended up using these scissors right here, and it worked really well. You just want to make sure that there's enough room for your tassel to fit in there, as well as any decorations that you decide to put on the little button on your graduation cap. And this is what it should look like. So what I did here is I just simply traced some letters on this computer paper after I printed it, and I cut them out with my knife, and then I traced them on the cardstock paper as well, and then I cut those out with my knife also. So you're going to want to be really careful when cutting this out. If you want to ask a parent, it probably would be better. I did cut myself quite a bit, but this is what the finished product looks like, and I think it came out perfect. So what I did next is I just grabbed my pearls that I purchased. They're from Recollections, and I got all of these products at Michael's, and they just come in this long ribbon, which I think is perfect. So I'm just lining it up to see how it will look and place them where I need them to be. And the great things about these is the plastic peels off, so they stick right to the cardstock. So what I did is I just cut each section as long as I wanted it to be so that I could overlap the pieces if I wanted to. And I just feel like this made it so much easier, so I had a shorter piece of pearl to work with rather than a longer one. So this is what it looks like when I finish. This was the first border that I did, and I think it came out pretty great. You just want to make sure that the pearls are kind of close to the edge. Then I just picked up these bigger pearls from the Recollections, also from Michael's, and I used these for the button in the middle to hide it because it didn't really match my cap. For those, I stuck them on just to see how it looked, and then I went back and I used hot glue to kind of make a pattern around them and then cluster them all together so they just fit perfectly on the little button without covering where the tassel needs to go. So I also used lace ribbon, and I was going to make a bow and put it on the back of the graduation cap, but I actually decided to use this on the bottom border of my cap. I actually ended up using an entire roll. There's not much on this roll. I thought there was more when I purchased it, but there was just enough for what I needed. So the hardest part for me was finding out how to place the letters and exactly what looked best. And what I'm doing here is just placing the letters where I want them to be. I started with the ones in the middle first because I didn't want the tassel to mess with any of the letters or cover any of them. And I'm just using Mod Podge on them and gently placing them. I did put Mod Podge on the bottom of each letter as well as over the letters, and then I covered the entire cardstock with Mod Podge as well at the end. I also, if you can tell, I put Mod Podge on the pearls in the middle as well, just to seal them in a little better, and it does dry clear, so it came out much better looking than that. So the next thing I did was I used my fabric marker, and you want to make sure to get a pointed felt tip marker. It works a little better when writing on the cap itself. I actually switched to white because you couldn't really see the writing. But what I did here is just use a paper towel roll, and I just made sure to read out my quote that I put on the back of it so that I could see which placement would be best. And I actually ended up using my fiance and put the cap on his head and wrote on it that way with the white marker, and it came out so much better. And so here is the end result. So one of the last things I did was actually Mod Podge a bow, and I was going to use this entire bow on the cap and put it in the back, but it ended up being too big, so I don't suggest using an entire bow
But what I did is just cut off the little pieces and use the top portion of the bow. So you just want to Mod Podge it as much as you can and just dump glitter, take some of the glitter off, put more Mod Podge, and it's just a process. I think it took me about 15 minutes to do. It's also important to make sure that you get into every little crease and crevice, just so that the glitter can stick in there a little more perfectly. So I'm just kind of dumping all the glitter. I used 2 small tubes of glitter and ended up putting 1 entire tube worth of glitter back into the tube. And this is what the finished product looks like. I think it came out pretty great. I did put Mod Podge on top of the top portion of the bow just to seal everything in one more time. So what you want to do is just pick up the bow and gently shake off all of the excess glitter. And then you just want to let it dry for maybe a day or so. And then, as I said, I actually ended up cutting off the bottom pieces, so this is what that mess is, and that is how much glitter I had left. So this is my finished product, and I think it came out absolutely gorgeous. I hope that I inspired you guys to make your own DIY graduation caps. I'm so excited because I am the official commencement speaker for the Quinebaug Valley Community College 2014 graduation. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!